Often we find ourselves gripped with the most intense anger. Anger is certainly one of the most universal self-states. So many things happen to distress us in our lives. So much transpires against our strong wishes. And moments like this tend to send us into rage. The paradox with anger, from my point of view, is that anger is invariably rooted in feelings of helplessness. Feelings about which we tend not to know. Something occurs, it isn't what we want, we feel, but don't necessarily think that we can't control it, and initially it's disappointing, and then it's frustrating, and then we find ourselves flying into a rage. And when we get angry, our blood boils with adrenaline, our body inflates, we actually grow bigger, our muscles contract, and I can take on the world. Except, underneath, I really feel helpless. I feel that I can't make my desire come true. This person decides they don't want to be with me. This company decides they don't want me to work for them. This organization decides they're not going to help me. And I end up feeling that I'm not in control. And I don't know if I've ever met an individual on this earth who likes the feeling of not being in control. And so our bodies seem to be constituted in an elegant way to keep us from knowing we don't feel in control and to send us, before we realize it, from feeling helplessness to feeling powerful. Powerful in the flight of our anger and fury. When we get angry, a good protocol to follow is to ask ourselves whether we might be feeling helpless. I know I'm enraged. I can feel my body blow. Is it possible that I'm feeling helpless? If I can ask that simple question, then it might be possible for me to come down. Once I ask the question, then I can answer it. Well, perhaps. Perhaps I'm feeling helpless, that they don't want to be with me. Perhaps I'm feeling helpless that they don't want me to work for them. Perhaps I'm feeling helpless that they won't help me. next question is, am I as helpless as I think? And invariably, the answer turns out to be no. There's something I can do to help me to cope. The vast majority of the time, there are things I can do that can help me to solve the external reality. Well, if they won't be with me, maybe somebody else will. If they won't hire me or keep me employed, perhaps I can find a job someplace else. And if they won't help me, well, maybe somebody else will. Are they the only organization that is? Asking myself if I'm as helpless as I think, and finding a way to look for good answers, moves me from feeling helpless and therefore feeling angry into a mindset of problem solving and solution. And once there's something I feel I can do, my anger subsides and my efficacy increases. Now, there are certain instances in which there's nothing we can do. We can't change an external reality that's done. That person's left, that job's been lost, that organization didn't help us, or that person has died, or that person is sick, and no more can be done to change that state of health. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing we can do. That is nothing we can do with our internal reality. Because when the external world is no longer up for change, what we can do inside is begin to accept, to surrender to the reality that's beyond our control, and fully to embrace the reality that is, painful as it may be, to accept this hard truth. And so, here we are, back in the domain of pain, faced with the choice of whether to create suffering by turning away from our most difficult feelings. Here too, if we can find the courage to surrender to what is, to accept our frustration, our disappointment, what can't be helped, we can be very active in the role of surrendering and embrace our reality with all of its pain. And in that way, no longer feel internally helpless, even if we can't change the facts we accept.